Hi, I'm Teja Gerken with Peghead Nation, and that was a bit of my friend Eric Sky's The Lock Tender's Reel. Great little tune. Check out his version of it. Eric, of course, is a Santa Cruz guitarist artist, and the guitar that I'm holding here is a really cool Santa Cruz FS. That's part of a very special project initiated by Heartbreaker Guitars in Las Vegas, Nevada. It's part of a special set of 10 guitars that Heartbreaker has commissioned, and worked closely with the Santa Cruz Guitar Company in creating. And what it is, there are 10 sets of guitars, 10 of these, and 10 matching guitars built by luthier Rick Turner, who's also in the town of Santa Cruz, California. The Rick Turner guitars are electric guitars. They're his Model 1s, which is a guitar that's been made famous by Lindsey Buckingham and lots of other players. And the project is called the Legends in Lutherie series, and it's a very apt title for that project. There aren't a lot of people who've been around longer and who have more experience and who've built more high-end guitars than Richard Hoover of the Santa Cruz Guitar Company and Rick Turner of Rick Turner Guitars. The two, of course, are longtime friends, and this is a very exciting project for everybody involved, I think. I've talked to both Rick and Richard about this, and so I'm very excited to have the Santa Cruz part of this project here in the studio and to show you. It's a very fun guitar, so let me tell you a little bit about both this guitar and the common thread that goes throughout the project. So, as you can probably tell if you're familiar with Santa Cruz, this guitar is a Santa Cruz FS model, which is their fingerstyle guitar. It's a guitar that's one of Santa Cruz's more original models, really. It's an instrument that first came out in the 80s, and it really kind of pioneered a lot of things that have become standard in modern fingerstyle guitars. That kind of small jumbo-sized body that a lot of people have since started using. The guitar also has a slightly wider neck than what you would find on most traditional guitars, unless they were slotted headstock 12-fret guitars kind of things. It's a nut width of 1 13/16 inches, which doesn't feel super wide. I'm used to a 1 3/4 inch nut. This is kind of just a little bit wider, gives you a little bit more room. You can see a standard sharp capo still fits on there. Very comfortable to play. You can see the guitar has the original Santa Cruz peghead, this kind of long, elongated shape that allows a very straight string path from the nut to the tuners. And it's also a very cool look that's been kind of the look for this model guitar, even though you have some custom options with Santa Cruz depending on what you like. But what's particularly cool about this guitar, really, besides the overall Legends in Luthier's project, is it uses a very special set of woods, in particular the top. So the top on this guitar is a redwood top. And it's not just any redwood. It's a wood that came from a bridge that was in the Yosemite State Park here in California that was originally built in the 1920s. It was damaged in a fire in 2013, and somehow Richard Hoover and Santa Cruz got a hold of some of the wood that was used, which is of course old growth redwood. You just can't log wood like this, and there's very little of it available already cut. Having been part of this bridge, of course, it's been aged for many decades, and I saw some of this wood when I visited Santa Cruz last fall. You may have even caught a glimpse if you've watched our little shop tour that we put up on Peghead Nation a few months ago. Richard was showing me the wood. He may have known about this project, but he wasn't at liberty to tell me what it was being used for. Now we know. So it's a very cool piece of redwood, and the same wood is used on the Rick Turner guitar. So it's a very cool project that way. Beautiful redwood's got a slightly shaded top on this guitar. Very tight grained, and just a great quality, beautiful sounding piece of wood with a very cool history attached to it. The back and sides of this guitar are master grade Honduran mahogany, and that is just totally beautiful. And I've always been a big fan of guitars with mahogany back and sides, and either cedar or redwood top. Redwood and cedar have similar qualities, so that is a combination that I'm a big fan of, especially with slightly larger guitars like this. So this is a very cool guitar. If I ordered a Santa Cruz guitar, it might look a lot like this in terms of its shape and its wood combinations and everything like that. So just a very, very cool combination of features and materials. Of course, it has ebony for its fingerboard and bridge. It has the original Santa Cruz shaped bridge with the saddle that's angled backwards just a little bit. Santa Cruz feels that that leads to optimized intonation. It also makes the intonation more even if you raise or lower the saddle, because it automatically compensates for that. The purfling and the rosette and the back strip of the guitar is what Santa Cruz calls the midnight rope, and that's very cool. It has sort of a slight cowboy theme. Anybody who's been around Richard Hoover long enough knows that he's fascinated with cowboy musicians of all times, and so this kind of midnight rope binding and rosette is just really beautiful on there, and it's a kind of an original touch. I haven't seen this kind of thing on a lot of other guitars. The guitar has tortoise binding both on the body and the neck, even though you can barely tell on the fingerboard that it's bound because it's so dark. It almost looks like the ebony. The guitar has Goto 510 tuners. They're golden with black buttons. And the guitar has Evo frets, which I believe is a special order on Santa Cruz guitars. Evo is a slightly harder material than standard nickel frets. And they've become quite popular with a lot of players and makers because they last longer. Some people feel they sound a little bit brighter. But it's definitely something that you're going to see more of because it's going to take a lot longer until you need a refret. So Evo frets are really great. I have them on a couple of my own guitars, and I like them a lot. In terms of the guitar's construction, it uses hide glue construction throughout, and it has Santa Cruz's tapered braces. They're Adirondack spruce braces, which lend a little extra stiffness, and the tapered braces is something that Santa Cruz started doing a long time ago on these guitars, which really allow them to voice the guitars with a lot of fine-tuning abilities, and it just happens to be a really nice complement to this size body for playing fingerstyle. These Legends in Lutherie Santa Cruz guitars also include the LR Baggs Anthem SL electronic package, which you may be familiar with. It combines an undersaddle pickup, their element pickup, with the True Mic, which is an internal microphone. It goes through a crossover, and in the case of the SL, the only control is a volume control. It's pre-blended, and it tends to be a very natural, great sounding system. So when you heard me play the guitar in the intro to this, I was playing it in Orkney tuning, C, G, D, G, C, D, which is what I arranged Eric's tune in. Let's also hear what it sounds like in standard tuning without a capo. So here it is played a little more softly. Here's a little bit of the Eric Satie gymnopody on it. So a lovely response to a soft touch. Redwood is known for that, similar to cedar in a way that it just really responds well and is able to create a complex voice without really having to dig in very much. What's cool about this guitar is that I find that when I do dig in a little bit more, like when I was doing a little bit of the strumming during the first tune, it continues to sound really rich and full. There are some cedar top guitars that I find get a little bit brittle when you dig in a little bit more, but that's really not the case with this, and that's probably due to the really great stiffness to weight ratio that you get with Redwood. That really creates a very versatile guitar that way. So overall, just a very cool project, great idea by Heartbreaker Guitars. I didn't even mention the inlay here at around the 12th fret of the guitar, which is done by Harvey Leash, one of the premier inlay artists on the scene, who's also here in Northern California. It says Legends in Lutherie. It's got both Richard Hoover's and Rick Turner's signature, and there's a redwood tree up here. So a beautiful part that's part of all the guitars in the set of 10 matching pairs. And you can, of course, it's an exclusive to Heartbreaker guitars, and you can check them out on their website. There's great photos of the returner guitar there as well. And if this has whet your appetite for Santa Cruz FS, this is, of course, also a standard model at Santa Cruz with slightly different specs and features. But if this general guitar is something that you're interested in, you may get that with different features, different woods, or one very similar to this, even though I'm not sure whether you can get the bridge redwood on a different guitar than that. I'm going to go out showing you what the guitar sounds like with the LR Baggs Anthem SL Electronics. I'm plugging it here into a little Fishman Loudbox mini amp. Please come back here to Peghead Nation for more of our gear demos. My name is Teja Gerken.